Hello, welcome. This is going to be just a real-time tracking work through just because sometimes it's nice to go a bit slower. So we're going to open up a new workspace here, and they've given us some pre-existing options. Motion tracking, great. And before we even do anything, I'm going to make sure the frame rate matches the footage, which I know is 23.98 frames per second. And speaking of footage, let's load it on in. Standard res. I've got a 4K version too, but this is going to track a little bit faster, and it's probably honestly what most of you guys are working with. It's just you could probably get better results with high res footage. So set scene frames and prefetch, and that's going to load the whole thing into RAM, and that's gonna take a second here. I've heard people say it's good to turn it into an image sequence, but also I feel like this process right here kind of is giving you whatever benefits that would. I honestly didn't look into it. If you have the ability to turn things into an image sequence, I would recommend that and import that instead. So here we go. We've got the whole thing. Got the whole thing here in RAM. This is awesome. I'm going to jump straight into detect features, and clicking normalize can help, but in this case, I'm not going to. Threshold, we can lower that, get really low. Let's do like 0.01, and distance 80. Yeah. So I'm actually going to go in, and just because we don't have to, but these won't ever be useful, so let's just save ourselves some time and delete them right off the bat. So select everything, hitting A. Is it still screen? Oh, it stopped screencasting. That's a bummer. Okay, well I'll just tell you. Hitting A to select all the points, and this button here to track forwards. And look at this, Blender Tracker is so fast. It's so wild. And I'm still learning just like how crazy convenient it is. So yeah, every once in a while I'm just going to hit escape and then detect more features and keep tracking. Just because some of them are disappearing. I'm erring on the side of getting too much data. Like you can see here, this isn't going to take very long. So let's get some more. A to select all the previous ones. Track forwards. And yeah, you'll be seeing, actually, a lot of these are looking really good. A lot of times they're zipping around like that one down here, but let's go back. And obviously the more we add, the slower it's going to get, but we're going to be losing all these ones in a sec here. Just in time for me to add some more. I don't know if we're going to go all the way. We might only go to like frame 300. And I think we're actually going to do something different in this one than we did in the main tutorial. I have an idea that I think could be a bit more fun. Okay. Getting pretty close here. This is nice. I've been watching my girlfriend play Animal Crossing, and it's nighttime. We're always playing at night when everybody's in bed, so it's just this very calm game. So normally I'm like, oh, it's a tutorial, like there can't be dead air. But right now I'm like, you know what? We can just sit here and watch the trackers. It is nice. Look at them. So these are all the graves of all of the trackers which have died before. We can let's see. I'll wait until she gets her little sip. Yeah, let's go to that line. And yeah, all right. 326 and 326. And there we go. We've got good ones. Oh, but we can hit Alt D to hide all that and only look at the ones we like. In fact, I might go, because we go in here and we added a new bunch right there. I'm gonna go track all of these backwards, just to make sure we have a bunch in the opening too. This is probably overkill. And again, like you can just like control click on the individual points and track that way, but this is just nice. Let the computer do it. Wow, that one's on a journey. Okay, here we go. So now let's start solving stuff. I'm gonna jump over into the solve panel here. Go to cleanup, and let's pull up the graph editor a little bit, because you can see a lot of these get kind of weird. And if you click on one of these, it'll highlight it, and you can see where is it? Oh, it's up there. Yeah, it's this one, and it's just running along that mirror's edge. So we can just click on these and delete them. Woo! But also let's tell Blender to do it. Let's filter tracks, and I'm gonna say like 15. And all right, it's got a few of these going here. And are they all, basically we're looking for all of these looking as if they're doing something funky. Honestly, right now it looks like it's selecting a lot of things which could conceivably be good tracks. That said, we have enough tracks that I'm just gonna delete them. Great. Okay. So now we okay. So setting keyframes. Keyframes are the two frames that Blender takes to really try to get a sense of the parallax, to the best of my understanding. And a lot of times it makes a good guess about that, but sometimes it doesn't. And so we're gonna tell it. I think like if we go here, like 186, and then we slide over this way to like 233, that probably seems good. We're gonna have it refine the focal length and the lens distortion here. And I'm just gonna see what happens if we hit solve camera motion. If your track's ever taking a really long time or you're getting really random errors, a lot of times it's tweaking the keyframes is going to help that. All right, refining solution. Come on, give me something good. 1.79. Hey, that's all right. Okay, so we have almost 2 pixels worth of error, and that means that basically it comes up with a guess for where it thinks every point is. It comes up with a motion model, and then it reprojects that back at the points. And if the points are close to where the computer thinks it should be given the track extrapolation, then you know, here we can actually see what that is. If we pull up info, we can select everything and you can see the error of any individual thing. But there's a lot of tracks, so let's have a Blender do it. Clean tracks, and I'm just gonna put in 1, see what happens, and turn off info. That's okay, but like right here, that's selecting all of those, so we don't want to delete all of those. So let's do clean tracks and put in a reprojection error of like 3, and that's still a lot. 4. Okay, and let's also eyeball and just make sure like if any of them are on her as she's walking around, like that one. Let's get rid of those. A lot of times Blender likes to track intersections between like right here. That looks like a very trackable point, but it's the intersection between a foreground and a background place, and so that's not an actual location that exists. We shouldn't be tracking that. And especially like plant leaves, you know, where 2 leaves intersect, it might think that there's something there. Honestly, I'm not seeing a lot of issues. I think the filtering and all that already got a lot of them. This is great. So let's just solve the camera motion again. 0.8, we're under a pixel. Let's just do one more and clean tracks and put in 1. Ooh. Oh, it still doesn't like all of those. Okay, well that's a little bit bizarre. I'm gonna try. I mean, we're already at a point where I should just move forward, but it's once you start, you know, it's a little bit like it's a little addicting. So I'm gonna just try doing a different frame range here. I wonder if I can do like just expanding it out. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. Point. Okay, it's about the same. Maybe that doesn't change anything. So let's just move ahead here. Actually, before we do that, so when you're trying to reconstruct this scene, it helps to have, you know, you can see where all these points are in 3D space. I'll show you. Set as background, set up tracking scene, and here we have, you know, the scene. Blender doesn't know which way is up. It doesn't really know anything. It just knows the camera's motion. And we can tell it a little bit about what's what, though. Like, let's tell it where the floor is. To do that, we need some actual points on the floor. So I'm going to control-click here, here, and here. Select those, and it'll only track what's selected. And just click forwards. Yeah! See, it tracks so fast. Okay, and now I'm going to resolve the camera motion with those points in there. All we're trying to do now is get where we're kind of doing a reverse track where we're trying to get we're using the parallax to extrapolate where these points are in 3D space. So we can now go into orientation and say, that's the floor. Blender makes it the floor. Let's take this one and say, this is the origin. That just means it's going to be the center of the scene. And then if you have another dot that's along that same axis, you can click that and say, hey, that's an axis. And now if you look, this is all going to be lined up with right angles and field of view and everything. It's very cool. So let's move on to the next stage. Go over to layout. Oh, our tracking dots are gone. Here, we can get them back by going here. Motion tracking. Let's turn the axes down. I think I can just scale the whole thing if I want to. Yeah. Okay. Look at that. That's really fun. Let's build a little house, and that's effectively the end of the tracking tutorial. You know, you can put stuff in there, you can render it in there. This isn't really talking about compositing or anything, but let's do the compositing in the viewport. So I'm gonna make a plane that mostly covers this whole little area here. Yeah, and there's I think the floor. Oh, already, yeah. Cool. Let's add a window. Good, I got my little things back. I'm just Control R to add edge loops. This is again. If you, I'll link to the modeling buildings tutorial in the description below. But it's basically just hitting E to extrude and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm just building a tiny house. Let's add a thing here. See, can I just dissolve those? Oh, let's dissolve all of these guys. Let me give it a pointy roof. Yeah. Let's give it a. Ooh, I don't know if I even really have. If I had like a wood texture, that would work really well here. But I don't know if I do. Let's go down to wood. Ooh. Yeah, there we go. It's like a cabin. So tab into edit mode, hit A, U, cube projection, and we've got our little wooden house here. Like, I'm gonna make like a board. And slide open the UV editor. I'm gonna select this and hit U cube projection. I'm just gonna line this up on an actual board here. Okay. So now we can frame in our window. It's kind of a log cabin situation. Okay, cool. So if we have this house, let's see. I'm gonna change the background to be in the front so we can still see it just with a low opacity. Because what I want to do is I want to move this wall until it intersects these points just barely. So let's see here. Yeah, that's probably good. And since we have that lined up, we can actually cut this this building out using the knife tool. Let's go to where we're looking kind of far to the right. Yeah, that's the full window. So we can hit K and just trace this window here. And now, if we delete that face, oh, and we still have the video on, so let's turn that off. Well, there's a hole now, but we can't see the footage if we turn this off. So let's do that to the inside of the house. I'm going to select the house, and I'm actually going to project from the camera view onto the inside of the house, which is a little bit bonkers, but also kind of fun. So, going to create a new material here. We're going to call it the video. We're going to, for the base color, we're going to make it an image texture, but we're not using an image. We're using our standard res video. Let's assign. Right now it doesn't know how to assign it, so it's crazy. So let's give it a bunch of frames. Woo! Make it auto refresh. And for the vector, we're going to use window, and that means it's actually going to fill just the entire camera view right here. So look at that. Now we actually have the video inside the house. Of course, we can still see the geometry, and that's because I messed up a little bit, because this is supposed to be an emission shader. So let's delete this, create an emission shader. There we go. Oh, it's getting funky over here. That's outside the camera view. But let's select this material and turn it to clip. And there. Now it's just black. And yeah, again, if you can't see, you know, it's working perfect. Let's open that up. Woo! cool. We got a little bit of a floating house. So I'm gonna hit F3. Images as planes. If you don't already have this selected, installed, add-on installed, you should definitely install it. And let's see, textures. What am I thinking here? Tracking, yes. There we go. I'm just gonna put this way in the background. There we go. She's in a flying house, floating up in the air. There's no kitchen here. She's just. Let's actually turn on. I'll stretch this up, fill in the sky, and I'm gonna turn off these motion tracking points now. Woo! If I put little plant models here to kind of hide the fact that there's weird overlaps, that totally works. That's what I did in the other one. Works real good. And let's see, if we go to rendered view, does that... Oh, we have to make... Oh, I don't really have the lighting set up, but I could. Let's do it. Kind of some sort of light coming in through the window here. This should be emitting, so let's just plug this straight into the emission here. And... say ambient, yeah, all this stuff. So yeah, there we go. That's how you can give a ooh, it's doing kind of this blur thing. So let's turn off viewport denoising. It'll be noisier, but a little bit better. Yeah, so there we go. It's a nice way to be able to just, you know, wrap a new environment around your footage. And what I like about this is it doesn't require a green screen. You can just shoot somewhere and fill in all the foreground stuff, which is just so cool. It gets rid of so much of the pipeline. Yeah, so there we go. She's drinking her soup. I should probably move all of these faces over, but I'm basically done now. Yeah, there we go. Now we have a better view. Cool. Anyways, thanks for watching.